If you're not sure which of the current Garmin golf watches you should buy, then this is the video for you. I've got in front of me the entire Garmin Approach GPS golf watch range, and I've done full in-depth reviews highlighting both the positive and negative features of each of these watches, but I thought it would be helpful to run through a side-by-side comparison highlighting some of the key differences and features, some of which you might not have been aware of. And of course, I've included any discount codes that I've currently got down in the description below so that hopefully you can pick these up for less than retail price. The entry-level Garmin S12 watch retails for around £190. The middle of the range S42 retails for around £270, whereas the top of the line Garmin S62 retails for around £480. That's a pretty significant amount of money to be spending on a golf watch. So you're really going to hope that you're going to get all the features that you really want out of this watch. So I'm going to cover 3 key areas to compare these watches against each other: the look and the design of them, the golf functionality, and then the off-course functionality as well. Starting with the S12, you have a pretty basic display. It's not color, it's not touchscreen, and it doesn't have a backlight. Instead, what you've got here are the 4 buttons on the edge, and in terms of actually operating this watch, to be fair, it's pretty straightforward and simple. I never really had any issues with it. The menus are neatly laid out, and you've got a button to move up and down, to select, and to go back. That's all you really need. Although it doesn't have a backlight, which makes using it in dark conditions pretty tricky, basically you've got to turn on an external light, actually using it on the course, it was plenty clear enough for me. I didn't have any problems using this out on a sunny day. Stepping up to the S42, and in here what you get is a mixture of a touchscreen as well as a single button on the side. Again, it's nice and clear to use out on the golf course. This one does have a backlight. The quality of the display itself is pretty basic. You can't really compare it to something like a modern day iWatch. There's just simply no comparison there really. The iWatch is far more crisper in its detail, but you don't necessarily need it to be crisp in its display. What it needs to show you in terms of the information on the course, it can show it perfectly fine. The touchscreen itself is responsive enough for what you want it to be really. Again, it's not necessarily anywhere near as responsive as something like an iWatch. And then lastly, with the top end model, the S62, again, you've got a combination of 3 buttons here on the side and then a larger touchscreen display. The display does seem a little bit better quality compared to the S42, but again, side-by-side comparison to an iWatch, it hasn't really got anything on an iWatch. The iWatch has got a much crisper, more detailed display. A trade-off with the screen quality means that you are getting significantly better battery life compared to a modern day smartwatch. Now there are some key differences here with these 3 watches. So with the top end model, you generally get about 20 hours of golf GPS usage, or using it as an everyday watch, I actually got around 15 days battery life from a single charge with this watch, which is pretty impressive. If you compare that with the S42, then what you're getting really is around 2 rounds of golf GPS usage out of this, or around 7 days of continuous use off the course. However, where you might be surprised is actually with the entry-level S12, you are getting premium battery life with this watch. I found that generally I could use this for 3 rounds of golf, but actually off-course usage, I got 30 days of continuous use on a single charge with this watch. That is seriously impressive from the entry-level watch. Now, of course, you're getting that because you've got a far simpler display that doesn't need as much battery to power it. So that's something that really you need to weigh up what you're after with your watch. And that brings me nicely onto the actual style and design of these 3 watches. So with the entry-level watch, yes, you can wear it off the course if you want to, but personally, I wouldn't do that. I'm a bit more of a watch enthusiast to actually wear this as a daily driver. The silicone strap that you've got is quite thin, but it does the job. I've got really skinny wrists, and actually there's plenty of notches left to go. So if you have got skinny wrists, you really don't have to worry about this watch. And it does sit with quite a nice low profile on your wrist. Moving on to the S42, again, the strap, well, it's quite similar. It's a little bit thicker than the S12, but not significantly so. And you have got a metallic bezel on the outside here, rather than the plastic housing and bezel that you get on the S12. But again, that rear of the watch, quite plasticky really. You have got the option to put multiple watch faces on this if you want to wear it off the course and get one that you like. But personally, again, I'm not really gonna wear this off the course. If you compare it to something like an iWatch, there's no real comparison there. I'd much rather wear my iWatch rather than this off the course. But certainly if you want to, you can wear this off the course if you're happy with the look and design. It certainly looks more like an everyday watch compared to the S12. Moving up to the S62, again, you've got this silicone strap. It is a little bit thicker compared to the S42. I wouldn't necessarily call it the most premium quality feel. And actually the casing on this is now significantly thicker. and it is still a plastic casing. It sits pretty high up on my wrist compared to my iWatch there and compared to the other two watches as well. So again, it really depends upon whether you'd feel comfortable using this as a daily driver watch. The bezel on the outside is ceramic, so that is a nice touch and shouldn't necessarily scratch up as much compared to the metallic version on the S42. And the buttons do have quite a satisfying click to them. Of course, the key feature of these watches is going to be their golf functionality. So let's talk about that. All three of the watches come with over 40,000 courses preloaded onto them, so you shouldn't really have any problems in regards to using this watch wherever you play in the world. All three have Bluetooth connectivity, which allows you to connect to the Golf Garmin app on your phone, as well as all three being able to be paired with the additional CT10 tags, which connect in the bottom of your club, but that's an extra expense of around another £200. All three of them have really clear displays out on the golf course, and all three of them give you yardages to the front, middle, and back of the green, as well as the front and back of various hazards on the hole, and you also get layup yardages too. With the S12, you get a rough shape of the green on this little layout here, and if you want to, you can go into the menu and you can move the flag to a number of pre-selected locations if you want to change that the flag is at the front or the back of the green. Personally, that's a feature that I don't really use. I just want to know the front and back of the green. With the S12, you also have the ability to keep basic score details on the watch, so you can track your stroke play and then you can export that onto the Garmin Golf app. It also exports some of the basic details that you can enter for each hole. So what do you get for the extra money with the S12? Well, of course, it's a color screen, so that's a significant difference there. And you're also getting a vibrate function in the S42 that you don't get in the S12. So if you forget to enter your score as you walk away from a hole, it will give you a little buzz to let you know you've got to enter those details. Because it's a touch screen, you can also specifically move where the flag is on the hole, rather than just being able to select from the predefined locations on the S12. Again, that's a feature that I didn't really use out on the course. You still don't get a full hole layout with this watch, so the S12 and the S42 just give you that green layout instead, but you are getting some more functionality with this watch as well. So now you have the ability to actually track which club you hit after every shot if you want those additional stats from the watch, and it does automatically track how far you hit your last shot. So a little pop-up comes up at the bottom and it gives a little counter there for you. You don't necessarily get that with the S12. You have to specifically go into the menu and select that you want to track the shot. Remember to do that, hit your shot, and then it will begin counting for you. You can also see on the dial here that you've got 1 to 18, and that will just tick round as you go through the holes, letting you know easily what hole you're on. But actually, on the top of the display, it also tells you what hole you're on. And on the display on the S12, that tells you what hole you're on as well. So that's not exactly a game changer. Moving on to the S62, and because of that significant jump up in price, you'd expect it to have a lot more on-course features. Now, of course, you're getting all of the features that I've previously described in the S42 and the S12, and a whole bunch more. So now you're getting a full hole layout on the screen, not just focusing on the green, but you can see where bunkers are, you can see where water is, and you can see the shape of the hole. A huge additional feature with this is the Auto Caddy mode. So as you begin to play more and more with this watch, the watch will learn how far you hit each of your shots, and it will actually suggest which club you should hit based on shots gained information, where you are on the course, and generally how well you hit each of your clubs. It can give a lot of insight to a lot of golfers. However, I've got a question as well. Does it kind of take the fun out of golf a little bit? Do you really need a little AI telling you what club to hit and what to do? Or do you really want to learn and grow and develop as a player? Also, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be tournament legal. This watch also has the ability to factor in slope, but again, that's not tournament legal, so you'll have to turn that off as well. And it can tell you about wind direction too if you're connecting it to your phone. Once again, that's not tournament legal. Another key feature that I do like of this is the pinpoint mode. So if you're like me and hit a number of shots off course and then you're blocked out from the green and you're not entirely sure where it is, you can select the pinpoint mode and the GPS will point you in the direction of the green. Again, that's not necessarily tournament legal, but I really did quite like that feature. The watch does also come with a training aid to help you off the course, so there is a swing tempo mode, and the idea of that is you set generally, whether you're a beginner, amateur, or professional golfer, there are little gyroscopes in the watch that will let you know how good your tempo was on your swing. So if that's something you want to work on, then you've got it in the watch. I used it down the range once, I didn't use it again. So there are a lot of additional features in the S62, but you'd expect that because you're spending quite a lot of money. However, in terms of the core basic features that you need from a golf watch, well, the S12 totally has you covered. You get a few extra nice to haves with the S42, although they're not necessarily essential. And then you are getting a lot of cool, interesting, funky technology-based features with the S62, but none that you really need. So what about using these watches off the golf course? Well, starting with the S12, you don't really get a lot at all. It can tell you the time, it can tell you the date, and that's about it. It does have Bluetooth to connect to your smartphone, but that's only for the Garmin Smart app to upload scores and data from it. It can't send you notifications or anything like that from your phone. So there's not really too much more to say about that one. Moving on to the S42, and now you do get a little bit more connectivity with your phone. So it does have the ability to send notifications from your phone, but just note, if you're using an iPhone, you don't really have much control over the notifications that you can get. Basically, you can get every single notification from your phone or none of them. You can't just say, I only want to get my text messages and my phone calls. If you're using an Android phone, then you do have more control over the notifications that you can receive from your phone. However, I wouldn't necessarily go calling this a smartwatch. There's just no comparison compared to something like a modern iWatch. It can send you some notifications, it can tell you the time. There's also the ability to track some exercise using the GPS features with this watch, although it is pretty limited. So you're getting pretty standard things like running, walking and cycling, but you're not necessarily going to get great amount of depth or data from the information. The S62 is taking a more significant step towards being a smartwatch as well as a golf watch. So annoyingly, in terms of notifications, if you're an iPhone user, you still have that same limited control that you get with the S42. You can control your music that's playing on your phone from the watch. Just note that you have to go into the menu and add it as an option, and that the ability to control music doesn't automatically pop up when you're playing music from your phone. You have to go into the menu and select music player. So it's not nearly as intuitive as using a modern smartwatch. You can track quite a wide variety of different sporting activities if you want to keep a track of those kind of things using the GPS functionality. Not only have you got things like running and walking, but you can actually get things like paddleboarding, cycling, indoor cycling, circuit training, and general cardio activity. Now, the reason why you've got the ability to track all those is because this has a heart rate monitor on it as well. So you can check out your heart rate on the watch, or you can look at it on the Garmin Connect app as well. Not only that, but you've also got a blood O2 level monitor in there as well. So that's an interesting feature if you want to use it. And it also comes with this kind of body tracking stress meter thing. I said it in my review of the watch. I've got a 2-year-old son. I don't need a watch and an app to tell me that I'm tired. I know that I'm tired. I'm tired all the time. Just for openness, I actually own both the S62 and the S42, but Garmin have lent me the S62, which has helped to do this comparison. If I had to make the choice today, personally, I'd probably go for the S12 because I like the simple core functionality that that watch brings you. It tells me everything that I need to know out on the golf course, and I find the buttons just really simple and easy to use. And it's the cheapest one. I've seen it on offer for quite a big discount compared to that $190 retail price. I actually bought mine for £109 in a sale. That would then free up more money for me to use a different watch off the golf course, like my iWatch, or something a little bit more specialist. As I said before, I really love my Hamilton mechanical khaki watch that I've got here. This costs around £200, £109 for this watch. You're still well under £100 less than the top of the range Garmin. Something so satisfying about winding a watch still. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these watches and which one you would go for. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out any discount codes that I've got down below in the description. If you're still looking for more information, then why not take a look at my more in-depth on-course reviews of each of these watches.